Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I'm in Lisbon, the capital of Portugal. This place has become very, very popular, so you have a lot of people visiting the city. It's an exciting time to be here in June because you have a very popular festival which is on. So I'm super excited to explore the city and learn more about the country of Portugal. This is Praça do Comércio. It's Lisbon's biggest square, so you've got lots of grand, noble statues here. And you've got prime views over the River Tagus. The city sits along this river, which empties out into the Atlantic Ocean. So Portugal is a country right on the edge of Western Europe, and it shares the Iberian Peninsula with its neighbour Spain. So Lisbon is a very old city. It's got so much history. In the ancient times, it was a Phoenician trading post, and later it was invaded by the Romans. And then in the Middle Ages, the North African Muslims, the Moors, invaded and conquered most of the Iberian Peninsula. But really, the golden age of Portugal was the 15th and 16th centuries, when, of course, the explorers, famous explorers like Vasco da Gama, started to find trade routes to reach Asia and capitalize on these trade routes. So they became incredibly rich from New World resources like gold, spices, sugar plantations. So that was really the golden age of Portugal. Wow, it's pretty amazing when you come down and just look at how huge this river is. You still have lots of ships coming from all parts of the world. It still feels very much like the gateway to the world. You can just imagine all those hundreds of years ago when they were leaving Portugal to find trade routes to new worlds. Okay, I'm going to go into the heart of the city now. This whole area is called Baixa. We've got the Arch de Triomphe here, which is incredible. We've got some really, really famous characters on the top, like Vasco da Gama, the explorer. You've got the Marquês de Pombal, one of the very important rulers of the country. It's pretty amazing. So the whole of this area is called Baixa. It's like the downtown area, and it's all kind of wide avenues, wide roads. Also, the floors are incredible because you've got these gorgeous black and white tiles, which are really, really unique about Lisbon. Lisbon is really busy. There's so many tourists that come here, but it's got an incredible history and so many things to see, so you kind of understand that. So this is another beautiful plaza. Very grand fountain. And I've just seen this, which is one of the reasons I'm so excited to be here this week. Basically, this week is the festival of Sant Antonio, which is the patron saint of Lisbon. This whole week, people are partying, people are grilling sardines on the streets. There's going to be a parade tomorrow. So it's just the best time to be in the city. Before I do any more exploring and walking around, I definitely need some fuel for today. So I want to try the most famous thing in Lisbon, the pastel de nata. This place, Manteigaria, has really good reviews. So they're meant to do some really amazing pasteis de nata. And I think you can actually see them making it, which is quite cool. Eggs, butter, custard, everything's done by hand as well. I have very high hopes for this. This is probably the most famous Lisbon food. The way to eat it is to dust cinnamon powder and iced sugar powder on the top. Plenty. You should not be at all shy about it. Oh my. That's delicious. You can see that gooey custard coming out of it. Look at that. It is just beautiful. I can't think of a better breakfast than this. Honestly, it's gorgeous. Okay, I think I got here at the right time because now there's a queue. So I'm going to go to the São Jorge Castle, which is on the highest hill in Lisbon. Lisbon is a city made up of 7 hills, similar to San Francisco. So when you're here, you're going to do a lot of walking. But I might do a bit of cheating and get the old school tram. They're from the early 20th century. Whilst I'm waiting for it, I want to just quickly talk about the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. They really are the ones that make these videos possible. They are an online website design service, so they've got lots and lots of ready-made professional website templates which you can choose from. If you're like me and you have no idea how to make a website, then a service like Squarespace is really invaluable because they just make it super easy. You don't need to have any prior knowledge. Oh wow, the tram's coming. It looks so cool. Wow, it's pretty packed. Pretty original. You've got all the interior woods going up very steep streets. So, as I was saying about Squarespace, they have literally launched a new technology called Squarespace Blueprint AI. It makes it even easier to design a professional looking website. You can literally pick what pages you want. You can also tell it what your website's all about, and it comes up with a professional bio. I am so happy with the website that I designed using Squarespace. I went for a very minimal aesthetic, clean drop-down menus along the top for everything I wanted to showcase, like my YouTube videos and my Instagram photos. I'm just so happy with it, and it was so easy to make. So if you need to build a website, I recommend checking out Squarespace. Head to squarespace.com, you get a free trial. Once you're happy with your website and you're ready to launch it, you get 10% off using my code Meliniangelica when you go to squarespace.com/Meliniangelica. So I hope you have fun building your amazing website. And now I need to get off this tram, so I'm super excited to visit this castle. Well, that was very fun. What a bumpy little ride that was. Okay, I just got into the castle grounds, and the first thing you see is this gorgeous mirror door, this viewpoint. So you've got amazing views of the River Tagus, and then two of Lisbon's most iconic monuments. You've got the 25th of April Bridge, which really looks like the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. And then you also have the statue of Christ the Redeemer, very reminiscent of the one in Rio de Janeiro, and it was actually inspired by that statue. Let's not forget Brazil is a former colony of Portugal. This place is famous for its peacocks too, they're everywhere. This is the entrance to the castle, so it's really quite impressive. So this castle was built all the way back in the 8th century, so it's more than 1,000 years old, and it was built by the Muslim Moors. They invaded from North Africa. They basically invaded most of the Iberian Peninsula, so what is Spain and Portugal today. Portugal was ruled by the Moors for 500 years. Got some really beautiful views here. It really is an atmospheric castle, I must say. Very cool. So in the end, the Christian monarchs were able to reconquer Portugal in the 12th century. So they restored Christian rule to the country, kicked out the Moors, and this castle basically was converted into a palace for the Christian monarchs. So that's how the story ended, but it's still a gorgeous historic monument to visit in Lisbon, especially if you want to understand that really important time in the Middle Ages when Portugal was ruled by the Moors. I've just walked down from the castle, and the neighbourhood right below it is called Alfama. So it's one of the most historic neighbourhoods in Lisbon. This is one of the miradors here, the viewpoints, Porta do Sol, and you've got this incredible view, all the rooftops in the city, the very iconic red rooftops. But this is a really historic neighbourhood, so I want to just walk around the little streets because it's very atmospheric. So this neighbourhood of Alfama is over 1,000 years old. It's the most historic one in Lisbon, and it actually survived the earthquake of 1755. The whole structure of it is exactly as it would have been over 1,000 years ago. Just the layout of it as well is crazy. You've just got all these steep, tiny little roads. Because of the festivities that are going to go on this week, they're already putting up all these decorations on all of the streets. So you can see confetti, little flags, balloons, and then they've already set up all these stalls. This is where they'll be selling food, beer, and it's actually the people who live in this neighbourhood. A lot of them have their own stalls where they'll be grilling their sardines and selling it to people. Loads of traditional Portuguese music. Okay, I'm going to head back home now, have a bit of a rest, freshen up, get changed for the party tonight here in Alfama. So I've come back out, it's now evening, the sun's setting. There's so much going on right now, loads of people out in the street. You can hear a lot of drumming. I'm sure there's lots going on because all the parties are starting up now. So I'm going to head over to the Alfama district. You've got all these stalls lined up selling beer and food. They're literally all down here. Smells very good. It feels like the whole of Lisbon is here tonight, really. Honestly, there's so many people. But I think I'll get myself a nice cold Portuguese beer to kick off the night. Uma cerveja, por favor. Obrigada. Very good. Nice and refreshing. The month of June is really the best time to come to Lisbon. There are parties every day, parties like this. Esta festa é a festa do quê? Do Santo Antônio.
Santo Antônio.
Santo Antônio.
Vocês já ouviram falar do Santo Antônio?
Sim, é o santo de Lisboa, o santo do matrimônio, do amor. Vocês estão buscando amor hoje, não?
Todos com casamento.
Tudo um mês, a festa?
Não. Hoje é a noite.
Hoje é a mais grande festa.
É maior hoje. Hoje é maior. Saúde.
Saúde. Boa noite. I mean, you can see the locals are really loving it. Sardines are the most popular thing to eat here. I mean, they are, you know, one of the most famous things. Everyone's in such a great mood. And loads of people are wearing sardine hats too. The layout of this neighbourhood is all like little tiny narrow streets going up and down. So it's just like, what a great place to have a street party. Não é uma foto, é video.
É brasileira. Amor, você é brasileira?
Não sou brasileira.
É da onde?
Eu sou da Inglaterra. How is it that I'm trying to tell people I'm not Brazilian when I'm actually not Brazilian? So many people always ask me, how do I know how to speak Spanish? How do I know how to speak Portuguese? What is my background? So check out my YouTube membership. I do personal Q&As there. My latest video is me revealing my DNA, ethnicity live with my members. So it's a way to get more information about me personally. The link is in the description below. Join my membership. Okay, I found a good spot to get myself a sardine sandwich. He's got plenty of them going on the grill. Oh, obrigada. The idea is they serve it on bread, and by the time you finish the sardine, those juices have rubbed off onto the bread.
Viva Portugal! Viva Portugal!
They're so fresh, you just really need to just grill them. Excellent. Vocês são daqui?
Sim.
De Lisboa?
Sim.
Ah, você gosta de morar aqui?
Muito. Lisboa é a melhor cidade do mundo e eu sei que isto é verdade, percebe?
Ok.
Lisboa é o único, diga-me outro sítio onde existe isto, não existe? Não há outro sítio.
É muito único, muito único. E vocês gostam, esta festa é o quê?
É a melhor do mundo. É o mês inteiro. Se querem vir a Lisboa, venham em junho para conhecerem o Kim Barreiros, que é o nosso músico preferido, comer sardinhas e beber cerveja.
Comer sardinha e beber cerveja.
Exatamente.
Isso eu entendeu.
Saúde! É os Festas Populares, meus queridos.
Vai, Obrigada, muito obrigada. Ciao, obrigada. Ciao. Oh, well, they love living in Lisbon. É a música mais popular para pessoas jovens ou velhos?
For everyone. Yeah.
Everyone.
You have to dance.
Yeah,
Os
pessoal.
peitos da cabritinha. Eu quero porque a cabrita é minha. Eu gosto de mamar. Cabritinha.
A música Pimba.
Pimba.
Okay, I like it.
Os peitos da cabritinha na sua hora que eu quero porque...
Eu não sei as palavras, não sei as palavras.
Everyone comes here. Yeah? You're rich, you're poor, everyone comes here.
Ó mar salgado, quanto de teu sal são lágrimas de Portugal.
Saúde, saúde. I think he's just very patriotic, very patriotic. I just love the festive atmosphere, it's so fun. An event like this really makes you feel that Portuguese identity, the tradition, the culture. It's so Portuguese and dancing, music, food, community, everything I love in a country. I've come to Belém this morning, which is a historic neighbourhood right on the riverfront, and it's great because this place didn't suffer so much during the earthquake of 1755. You have a lot of historic monuments here, like this one, which is the Torre de Belém, or the Belém Tower, and it's a defensive tower that was built in the 15th century. It's quite cool because it's actually kind of on a beach, so I want to get a closer look at it. There are far too many people queuing to go inside, and to be honest, I don't really think you need to go inside. It's pretty amazing from the outside. Kind of interesting, some of the detailing. You almost have what looks like knots, which probably represent the ropes, right, from the ships. You can imagine the sailors and navigators that were leaving Portugal to go off into the unknown, hoping to find their way to Asia. This is, the last thing that they would have seen as they were sailing out into the big open ocean of the Atlantic. So just 15 minutes down the riverfront is another very famous monument called the Monument to the Discoveries. So I'm going to have a walk along the riverfront now, check it out. It's really, really nice here in Belém, especially because it's got a prime location overlooking the River Tagus. So you've got lots of lovely boats here and lots of little bars to just have a drink along the riverfront. And you've got this stunning view of the 24th of April Bridge. I've just got to the Monument to the Discoveries, and it's huge. It's very, very imposing, looming over the River Tagus. Built in 1960 as a sort of celebration of Portugal's colonial past and its discoveries of trade routes around the world. So you have some really key navigators on the monument. You have Prince Henry the Navigator right at the front. He's holding a model of the famous caravel ship that the Portuguese built to traverse the waters, and he's holding a map on the other hand. You've got Vasco da Gama, who was a very famous navigator. He founded the trade route to India. That's what the Portuguese wanted. They wanted to find a direct trade route to Asia in order to capitalise on the spice trade. And all of these discoveries and colonies made them incredibly rich, from things like the spice trade, the gold, the sugar plantations in Brazil. Portugal was one of the very first grand European empires. Also noticed a lot of symbols of the cross because, of course, wherever they went, they were converting the local populations to Christianity, which was their religion. I do think it's strange to have such a brash monument that celebrates colonialism right here. But, they've built it, and up until this point, I guess no one has really protested to take it down. So just not so sure about what it represents. Okay, so I've come back to town, just in a neighbourhood right by Baixa, which is Chiado. and I'm going to have lunch now. I want to get something really, really typical of Portugal. So I've come to this very local, traditional, packed lunch spot, and I'm going to have a very typical thing here, which is called the Bifana sandwich. Got a spot at the bar. This is how I like to do it. Have your pork sandwich here and a nice cold beer. Sem queijo e uma cerveja. Nothing? You can see the hot bubbling pan there, tender pieces of pork. Okay, so got it really quickly. That's why it's so good to just prop yourself up at the bar. Have a look at this. It looks so tasty. This is what you call the Bifana sandwich. Some really great pieces of fried pork fillet inside. Can't do it without some lovely, lovely mustard. Oh, it looks so good. Apparently, you've got to have it with a bit of the chili oil too. Let's see what it's like. Oh my god. Oh my god, so good. Absolutely delicious. How can a pork sandwich be so tasty? Wow. You've got to have it with your really nice glass of cold Sagres local Portuguese beer. That was so delicious, and also just a very fun atmosphere. So many people want to come in here. I don't blame them, to be honest. I feel sufficiently full up now. I'm just heading to a place which is called a ginginha to have a very, very typical sweet digestif, which I've heard is very good. I've seen locals drinking it in restaurants after eating dinner. So let's see what it's like. I want to try it. Isto é bom? O quê? A ginginha. É o quê? É um álcool...
Quem vem a Portugal e não vem nesta casa tomar isto, não esteve cá.
É bom para tomar.
É muito bom.
Muito bom. É uma fruta.
É feito de fruta. A fruta está aí dentro.
Depois de comer é bom.
É, bebe e fica quentinha até ali.
Mas é para beber devagar. Devagar, ok.
Fica quentinha.
This has some magic properties from what she's telling me. Oh my gosh, let's see how alcoholic this is. Probably quite alcoholic. Oh, boa tarde. Eu vou provar. É uma, por favor, como a fruta. É melhor como fruta.
Sim.
Sim? É muito alcoólico?
Não.
É forte?
Não.
Não.
É só um licor.
Só um licor. Ok, saúde. Ooh. Delicious. Oh my gosh. It's so nice, it's so sweet. It's made from the Morello cherry. It's a type of wild cherry from Portugal, and that's what they make it from. So I'm going to eat it. Oh my god, that is an alcohol-soaked cherry. Oh, this can go straight to your head, guys. Seriously, straight to your head. Feel happy now. I'm full up from lunch, happy from my ginginha. I want to do a bit of walking, get to know another neighbourhood in Lisbon. So I'm going to take the famous Santa Justa elevator, which I can see from here. I can see the top of it, and basically take it to the top to Bairro Alto, which is one of the historic neighbourhoods here in Lisbon. So this lift, Santa Justa, was kind of modelled off the Eiffel Tower. It was built in 1902, basically a few years after the Eiffel Tower. And it's become quite the tourist attraction, but it's also just a really good mode of transport if you don't want to trek all the way up the hill. There's a bit of a queue, so I'm hoping I don't have to wait too long. Okay, we're going in now. So I'm quite happy because I haven't really queued up for too long. It's only been about 15 minutes. I mean, this is pretty cool because we're talking like 100 years old, more than 100 years. Thank you. It's quite spacious as well. They don't let too many people in at the same time, but it's all wood, so the ceilings are all wood. Oh, we're going up now. Let's see if we get any views. A little slither of a view from the side. Oh, and it's really quick. We're talking like 20 seconds to get up to the top. Okay, so here is a little terrace, so you can have a look at the views from here. You can see the river, Tagus, and then all of the terracotta roofed tiles of all the little apartments and homes, so it's very pretty. Oh, you can see the São Jorge Castle from here. So this is a very historic neighbourhood called Bairro Alto. It was built in around the 16th century. It was very much a working class neighbourhood, mostly for, you know, the sailors and the people who worked on the ships that were going off into the New World. So it's really cool. It's got that kind of very authentic, old school vibe. What I love about it is that when you come into the little streets, it feels very lived in, and you have people that have lived here for years, you know, several generations. You can see people hanging their laundry on the balcony, dogs in the balconies. It's got a very kind of cozy feel. This is a very atmospheric road. What I love about the apartments here in Lisbon is that they all have these beautiful tiling outside of them and all different designs and colours. And Lisbon was ruled by the North African Muslim Moors for many centuries, and they very much heavily influenced this design, using mosaics to cover the apartments. There it's called zalige, and here they call it azulejo. Very, very kind of, you know, defining of the architecture in Lisbon. I would just love to live in one of these apartments. I just think they look really, really old school and historic. Imagine having like a little balcony up there. Probably my favourite neighbourhood, I would say, Bairro Alto, because it's just got a kind of romance to it, an old school romance. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Naples with the laundry hanging, but it's very distinctly Lisbon, which is what makes it so great. It's a very unique place. Okay, so Lisbon has some really, really cool rooftop bars. So I've come to one which is kind of quirky because you have to go into this car park to basically go up to the rooftop bar. Oh look, here we go. So it says elevator lift. So we're here. Okay, so it looks like this is the entrance. There's all this stuff here. You can hear the music. Wow. Such a beautiful evening as well because the sun's setting now. Okay, the views are so, so nice here. You can see the river, you can see the bridge, you can see all of the rooftops. Pretty busy as well, loads of people. We get a nice cold beer. I really have loved exploring Lisbon. I feel like it's got a lot going for it. Fantastic food, really, really nice locals. I now understand why it's, you know, one of the hottest destinations to visit in Europe. So for tonight, my last night in Lisbon, I wanted to come and see some of the folk music, which is called Fado. It's meant to be very sad. They say it was influenced a lot by the history of Portugal when, you know, sailors would go off into the unknown and never know whether they'd return, whether they'd see their loved ones. So it's just a very kind of beautifully mournful song and accompanied by guitar.
Como um voeiro sem vela, a alfama toda parece uma casa sem janela, num espaço roubado à palha, que a alfama fica fechada. A alfama não cheira a fado, mas não tem outra canção. cheira a fado, mas não tem outra canção.